Hey everybody, it's your boy VG Time back again. This time for the final time, bringing you a Dragon Ball Super card game deck profile. I'm going to end it where it started. Life changes, priorities change, so it caused me to have to make this decision. It wasn't an easy one, but it was one that needed to be made. So I just wanted to make sure I left you with a deck profile for a deck that I enjoyed. I'm not claiming it's the best deck, but it's one that I enjoy playing and one I don't think I ever did a deck profile on this channel. So we are talking about the Android 17 and 18 leader from set 13. This is an old leader, but I believe this leader was kind of ahead of its time. Problem was the support around it wasn't necessarily amazing because the deck could go into two different directions, so they kind of split the support in those two directions. It could either be a vanilla creature beatdown deck, or it could be more controlling. And I think a lot of people tried out the vanilla beatdown, was disillusioned by it, while I went the controlling route and always loved what it was capable of doing. I did play this on stream a couple of times, I believe, but other than that, I never actually shared my list. This is my current list. I'm still working on it, still tinkering on it, because this will be the final deck that I build. And I just wanted to make sure that I got it to the point where I want it to be. So why do I like this leader? Well, it gives you options. So the first thing is what it does on attack. It has an auto on attack where you top 5 search for a mono yellow android. Being able to search for, basically 80% of your deck or however it works out, it's probably close to like 75, is very, very powerful, especially if you're in a situation where you need a particular piece and whatnot, you could get it. But it also has a second auto, which comes up quite a bit, which is the ability to force yourself to awaken. So the second auto says if you choose one of your yellow androids and switch it to, if you're one of your yellow androids and switch to rest mode by a skill, you are able to untap one, draw one, and take life down the floor and flip it over. That we have a bunch of cards that could trigger that ability, but that gives you a quick burst of 5 cards to hand, depending on when you do this, because you could do this as early as turn 1 if you really wanted to. I don't necessarily suggest that, but it is possible depending on what the matchup is. It may come up. And then it has a regular awakening where when you have 4 or less life, you could untap 2 resources when you awaken. Sometimes I do wait for that because of the defensive potential that gives. You might take some hits down, weather out the early turns, and then have the ability to untap 2 and flip over. It's such a powerful ability, untap 2, that they haven't really explored it again. That's how strong it was. So this leader can do that as well. On the backside, it has a permanent where it allows you to have your yellow androids have plus 5k on your opponent's turn. So it makes it a little harder to attack into them and be able to defend them if need be. And then it has an auto on swing. Your opponent on swing, on resolution of this auto, you get to either draw a card or play an android with cost 1 for your drop into play. Your opponent has to choose whether or not they counterplay at the trigger of the auto, but you choose on resolution. So if they do counterplay with a card that will stop it, you go, okay, I'll just draw the card. So you basically waste their card. But if your opponent is smart, they might still do it because the advantage you get off of playing the card and then getting that card's effect is usually better than just straight drawing the card on top of the combo power or defensive nature of the cards that you're playing. All right, then it has the activate main once per turn, where you get to choose one of your yellow androids, switch it to rest mode, choose one of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode, and negate its skill. That may not seem like it matters, but it actually is very powerful for a couple of reasons, and we'll get into the main one, which is the unison that went with the leader. So this unison says, as Android 13 Robotic Unity, as an activate main that's not the unison skill, you can switch one of your yellow androids to rest mode to choose one of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode that with its skills negate it, and put it underneath this card. So it is actually a form of removal that your opponent is going to have a little bit of an issue interacting with. The reason why they're important that it puts it underneath this card, because this card has Rejuvenate. So when you do get to that point, which you do usually once a game, sometimes even twice if you're super fortunate, you're able to use their cards to pay for the Rejuvenate and to heal a life. If you don't know what a Rejuvenate does, you could take 4 markers off the Unison and take a card from underneath it and put it into the drop to put the top card of your deck into your life. It's a mechanic that doesn't get seen a lot because usually it's pretty hard to pull off the card underneath the Unison. Usually you have to have another copy and do Unison growth in order to do it, but this guy feeds his own Rejuvenate. It also has a +1 that allows you to untap one of your yellow androids, which is also pretty good. And by untap, I mean switch to active mode. So this is such a powerful card. Once your opponent sees you do the combination between the backside of the leader and the Unison once, then they realize how bad things are going to get, and they start trying to focus the Unison versus focusing you, even though you're at 4 or less life. And if they do decide to try to focus you, you have the defensive tools necessary to stop that, while also having the ability to remove the cards they swung at you with, using a combination of the backside of the leader plus his Unison. Next, we have to have the ability to find this Unison. It's such an important card. So we play one of our first 1-drop androids, which is Android 16 Mechanical Partner. This guy right here is insane. I play him in almost any yellow deck that requires the search of a 2-cost Unison. It's strictly better than all the other options. But when you play it, if your leader is yellow, you get to give this card. It's not only when you play it, but also if you switch to rest mode, you get to give this card blocker until the end of your opponent's turn. So you get that. But also you have the auto where you could top 5 search for an android, yellow android costs 3 or less, or the Unison. So both of those abilities are super key. Remember, on the back side, your leader can swing and play a 1-drop. This is usually your primary one that you play, because not only do you get a blocker, but you also get a top 5 search for a particular card. And their deck is kind of built around benefiting from his top 5 search. A new card added to the deck is Hellfighter 17 Mechanical Charity. It does a similar thing to this. It's top 5s for the Unison, but it gets a yellow android cost 5 or less, which is also very good. His name matters for a card that comes up later. That's the other reason why I play it. And then sometimes you just want to draw a card. Like if you did your math and you did your top 5s and you started realizing they're getting slim pickings, then you may not want to be in a situation where you're trying to top 5 search and take a risk of whiffing. So the card that you play in that case out the drop is Android 20 Skill Absorber. This card right here is actually kind of gas and sets up some combination plays. So basically, on play, you draw a card as 1 auto, but it also has an auto once per turn that on play or when it's switched to rest mode, you are able to blank one of your opponent's battle cards with cost 5 or less. That's pretty strong because you get to double blink on your turn by playing this, blinking a card and switching it to rest mode off your leader skill to use your leader skill to blink a card. So now you have 2 cards that are blanked, and then you get to absorb something with 17 and deal with the other one using other cards. So all in all, it's pretty good. But again, if you get to the point where top 5 search is no longer really a great option, then you can start playing this and drawing raw cards, while also giving you a 5k combo and the ability to blank a card. I wanted to have a searchable negate. So we have Android 17 thwarting the enemy, I mean. This is a 1-cost negate, comes down in rest mode, but you also have the ability to Spirit Boost 2 to play this one for free, which is also, okay. Its name also matters for a card coming up. And then for super combos, we have 4 copies of Android 17 Mechanical Charity. This card right here is actually insane in this deck. It is a typical 0-10k super combo that you draw a card when you have 4 life or less. If you remember from the auto on the front side, if you are able to trigger that auto and flip it over, you're going to already be at 4 life or less. So your super combo is online as early as turn 1, as late as turn 3 typically. And you're able to search it off of the front side of the leader, this guy right here and this guy right here. So it's just a great consistent piece to have. So how do we force ourselves to flip over? Well, we have a couple of options. If it's turn 1 that we need to do it, we have this card right here, which is Android 17 Hell's Guidance. This card says switch one of your yellow androids to rest mode. Play it. It's a 4K blocker, and you're able to trigger your leader ability. You could also just do this later on in the turns if you wanted to, if you just didn't want to invest skill or something to do so. Or, you could use your unison ability, or one ability I like to do because sometimes people forget it's a thing, is if you activate blocker on this, that counts as switching it to rest mode due to a skill, which will allow you to do your whole skill on your opponent's turn, which could set some things up. That will also allow you to trigger its ability again. Not that that matters on your opponent's turn because it would have already had blocker. This card was suggested by the homie Biryar. Basically, Android 17 Titan Toppler. I was running a different card in here at one point, but that card became too cumbersome to play in the current game because, paying for cards is a bad thing. So this card right here is free as long as your opponent has a battle card with greater cost than their energy and you don't have any battle cards. That's actually kind of an easy condition to come up with, right? Your opponent plays like some, it's on turn 2 and they play out their 4 cost or whatever, and then they swing at you and you just block with this and it dies. You can then play this, blank that card, which then allows you to tap it to the unison or to whatever, usually to the unison to absorb that card that just attacked. And then you could just swing with the leader, bring back this, and search a card. It's actually kind of stupid how it all works together. Again, the names matter. Then I wanted to have a counterplay in this, which is Hellfighter 17, the neutralizer. If it's your opponent's turn, it only costs 2, comes down, blanks a card. What if it gets removed by means of a skill, it also blanks a card, which is also very powerful. So I mentioned these names matter to Hellfighters and the Android 17s. We're going to get into that engine next. We have 4 copies of Android 17 and Hellfighter 17 Team of Evil. It has a permanent that it could be comboed from rest mode. And it has an auto that when this is comboed, you could choose one of your battle cards in your drop with 5k combo power and combo with it. You could play it for 1 energy as an activate main, limit 1. As long as you have 2 or more energy, you draw a card. You play this card and you draw a card. So it's a 1 drop 20k, 7 drop that combos for 10, basically. Again, the names matter because of the next card, which is Super 17 Ultimate Masterpiece. This card is actually kind of gross. So the way you play it is that you have to have both Android 17 and Hellfighter 17 in your combo area, and you play it as an activate battle. So because this card could be combo from rest mode, you could combo it and then play any one of these cards here as the second combo and then pay 1 and play this. It does require your opponent to have 3 or more energy, I believe, if I remember right. Yeah, your opponent has 3 or more energy, while this one requires your opponent to have 2 or more. So you have to do this when your opponent has 3 or more energy. Usually you want to do this on offense, but it gains barrier as part of that activate battle. so your opponent can't respond to it with a counterplay to kill it first. It just has barrier as it comes into play, and it has that barrier into the end of your opponent's next turn. So you get to play this 30k, and then it has another activate battle that's once per turn. Like, to play it is a limit 1, but it's an activate battle once per turn for the second one, which is kind of gross if you have multiple of these out. You could pay 1 to take a android from your Z energy, put it underneath this. It will switch this to active mode and draw you a card at -20 one of your opponent's battle cards. That's super important in this deck because once you start dealing with stuff in rest mode, sometimes your opponent tries to protect certain cards until they, build up some form of critical mass to be able to take you out. This will allow you to deal with those cards in active mode as long as they're 20k or less. Yeah, it's pretty strong. And again, that makes it a dual attacker on your turn, in a sense, a 30k dual attacker. That also draws you cards. And then on your opponent's turn, you can still use that ability to restand it, draw a card, and block with it. Just overall, I've been enjoying this engine. Then my SCR choice is Super 17 Sibling Absorbed. The reason why I chose this one is, because I just thought it would be fun. Also, people, like, a lot of boss monsters aren't printed at as much deflect as before. People aren't really checking for cold bloodlust effects, so you could kind of catch them a little bit lacking by using this card like this. And also, it deals with anything that's in rest mode, ignoring barrier. So that's just also great. And it's a critical attacker, so your opponent is going to have to combo out the attack or just lose the card. Overall, I always thought it was a good card. It just was that at the time it was printed, there was so much deflect on every single boss monster that it was unplayable for the most part, unless you were hitting something really small. Two copies of Son Goku Steadfast Assistance. This card right here is another counterplay. This one is a crushable effect, but it also has a blocker attached to it and draws you a card. Two copies of Sen Shenron Cold-Hearted Shadow Dragon. This card is a lot more accessible than it used to be, and it is an amazing card to have out there. Your opponent has to play around it or figure out a way of dealing with it. You draw a card on play when you play this, and you are able to block with it as a 24k, and you are able to blank one of your opponent's battle cards when they play a card and restand this. So overall, just a great card. And it's also a barrier blocker, which again makes it a little more difficult to deal with. This last card is for the battle cards is the Majin Buu. But I can also see a world against certain decks where you will run the Frieza. The Frieza is also great in this slot because it's a multi-attacker while also popping. While this is just like you play this and you just go all in on it. Then lastly, as another finisher, but this one is in the form of Unison. If Vegeta Unison of Fury is searchable, which is great. And then there's also certain matchups where you actually want this out there instead of this. Especially if it's a deck that plays like big beaters real early, like you're going against Black or something. If you play this and you start doing your Unison of Fury shenanigans while also blocking, your opponent's going to have a hard time being able to attack you for a while, and that'll give you the time to set up to make yourself very tanky. Now, my extra card setup is kind of weird, but I'm doing this for, reasons. So first one is Light Bullet. So Light Bullet is similar to Flying Nimbus, except for you don't have to discard a card, but it does require you to have board presence in order to use it, because you have to be able to rest 2 of your battle cards in order for your Nimbus effect to trigger. This card works well in this deck because the problem I have with Nimbus is that even though Nimbus is more consistent, you usually don't have a ton of cards in your hand to be able to pitch to and think it's sweet. while you usually do have a bunch of little dorks on the table that you could rest for Light Bullet to get your effect off. Also, Light Bullet, because it's a skill that's resting things, has the ability to trigger the steadfast, I'm not the mechanical partner, as well as the skill absorber, which then allows you to either gain a blocker or blank a card skill. So yeah, I just think it has a lot of synergies in the deck. That's why I'm running it over, say, Nimbus. Also have 2 copies of Release from Evil. Release from Evil works because we have a Unison, and combined with the next card, could cause a lot of havoc, but it's just overall a very solid card. The next card being Assault of the Androids, and I know you never seen this card. That's fine, but this card right here has the ability to pop one of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode that is skillless and costs 5 or less. If that text kind of reminds you of anything, it's similar to the blanking ability of the skill absorber of Android 20. So the thought is, on defense, if they swing at you and you had the ability to blank it, usually with a Release from Evil, you could pay 1 for this and you could pop that card as in rest mode. On offense, you could play something like the skill absorber, blank a 5 or less, deal with the bigger unit using the leader plus Unison, and then swing with something, use this and pop it. Now, not only does it do that popping effect, but it has 2 other effects that you have to choose from. One is that you give your leader plus 5k for the turn. So that means you get to beam your leader, which is, powerful, being able to defend from a position of 20 versus from a position of 15. And then the other one is that you are able to, for the battle, give a unit plus 15. So you can use it on offense and defense, which is also really strong about that card. And then last but not least, we have 2 more cards. Time Magic. I understand the concept of the token negate. In this deck, though, the token negate is less important. One, because we got a bunch of cheap free blockers anyway. But the other reason is that we don't want to be using our life necessarily. So what comes up for me, at least in this deck, is that I will have 1 energy up for Time Magic, but I would never have the 2 energy up to be able to pay for the token negate if I don't want to use life. So Time Magic is my choice card. And then the power of the Super Saiyan. So that is the main deck. I do have a Z deck, but honestly it's garbage. But I am going to show you where it's at right now. I still have Z Unisons to get in and experiment with. But nonetheless, yeah, 1 copy of Gamma 2. Again, we want to be able to deal with our opponent's counters and possibly get some cards like a Floodgate in a sense. Oolong, it just kind of goes with the territory. Get to copy, your big beaters and get another big swing for 1. This Goku right here has always been good to me, so we run it. We also have the 3-cost Goku. This right here is Son Goku Evolved Defense. This allows us to, crush a ball and blink things while also locking down an opponent's leader, if that matters on play. I might actually run another copy, don't know 100%. And then 2 copies of your Z Extra, which could give you plus 15, or blank a card and act as a Final Flash. So again, you got that out there. You could flash your opponent's card and then hit it with the Assault of the Androids, and they may not see it coming because, again, who plays Assault of the Androids? And again, like I said, I'm going to be experimenting with some Z Unisons and things like that. You may still see me around, like on circuits and whatnot, if I am able to get into play, or even in regionals if I'm able to play. But as far as YouTube and content creation for any car game, I'm done. So thank you for all those who are on the journey with me. And I'll maybe or maybe not catch you around. VG Time signing out.